So here goes the poem, A Photograph. In this poem, Charlotte Wilson has expressed like how her mother went in to enjoy a sea holiday with her two cousins, Betty and Dolly. So at that time, when she went in for that sea holiday, she was only 12 years of age. And at that time, when she was posing for the photograph, so when she had gone there to enjoy the sea holiday, when she had gone there to enjoy paddling, paddling is walking bare feet along the shallow waters. So when she had gone there to enjoy paddling, so there she had two cousins with her, and both of the cousins were holding mother's hand from each side. So the point is that poet's mother was in the center, and the cousins were on either side of her. And there at the beach or at the seashore, all three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. So because they had gone to enjoy a sea holiday, so of course they carried a camera with them. So it was the uncle who had the camera with him, and he asked the girls to pose for the photographs, and the girls did that. So in order, because they knew that they were going to be clicked, their was going to be taken, so they stood still and posed for the photograph. And while posing for the photograph, number one, they smiled, and at that time when they were standing still, a film of hair covered their faces. A film of hair covered their mouth, and through that film of hair, the smile was visible. So the photograph shows the when you look at the photograph, then you will be able to notice the smile which was there on the face of those girls when they were posing for the photograph. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. So here the poetic device used is alliteration, where the poet uses sir sound, prominent one. S for stood, S for still, and S for smile. You can see these words. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. So at the uncle, what they did at the uncle? They smiled. Why did they smile? Because uncle was going to take their photograph at the seashore. So in order to pose for the photograph, they stood still. They were posing for the photograph and smiled. So while they were smiling, because it might have been a windy day, so their hair were flying around. And at this time, because of the wind and all, a film of hair covered a part of their face, and even it covered their mouth. But through that film of hair, their mouth, their smile was visible. A sweet face, my mother's. That was before I was born. So in the photograph shows, it was clearly visible from the photograph that mother was very beautiful when she was 12 years of age. So it was a time when even poet was not born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. So the photograph also shows one more thing. On one side, photograph shows that mother looked so beautiful. At the same time, the sea, so mother looked beautiful then, when she was 12 years of age. But now, when mother is now at present, number one, mother is no more there. But after 30 to 40 years later on, when mother would look at her photograph, she would see that she had changed a lot. So of course, but when you look at how you look at the age of 12, you cannot expect yourself to be looking the same at the age of 32 or 42. So mother who looked so beautiful at that age changed, grew older over the years, but the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed the terribly transient feet. But the sea has not changed over these years. Mother has changed. There is no reference to the other girls, Betty and Dolly, but they might have also become older. Okay, they might have also changed physically, but here we have a reference to mother's mother. So mother has definitely grown older with the passage of time, and in the end, she is no more even. So the person, the one whose photograph was taken, that person is no more. That person became old and is no more subsequently. But the sea, where this photograph was taken, that sea has remained the same. That has not changed over these years. So nature doesn't perish, nature doesn't change. So it is man who is mortal, but nature is immortal. Okay, if man is mortal, man has a short life, but nature has perennial life. Nature has got permanent life. So there is a poem written by Lord Tennyson, Brook, where the brook says that men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. So who goes on forever? Brook. Brook means river. So river, that is one of the examples of nature. Nature goes on forever, but man is mortal. Man has to die one day or the other. So man has to undergo various stages in one's life first. First, man is a child, then then person becomes mature, then one becomes old, then eventually man leaves the world. So change is a law of nature. So man, the mother who was so beautiful at the age of 12, eventually became old and even died with passage of time. But the sea, it remained the same. It did not change much. So it is very ironic that the sea, which appeared to be washing their feet, has not changed. But that human being whose feet it was washing off, those human beings are no more. So terribly transient feet. So whose feet were being washed by sea? Sea was washing the feet of girls, including mother of the poet. So when the poet says terribly transient feet, here feet refers to mother. Here feet refers to the feet of mother and those two girl cousins, Betty and Dolly. I'm again repeating, feet refers to three girls. One is poet's mother and the other are two girl cousins, Betty and Dolly. So because they were standing at the sea shore, they were standing at the beach because they had gone there for paddling. Okay, but you cannot do paddling with your with the slippers on. So with bare feet they were doing paddling. So at that time when they were posing for the photograph, then one thing which was captured by the camera was that the sea waves were touching the feet of these girls. So the sea was washing off, it was washing off the footprints of these girls on the sand. So this refers to this washing of the footprints by the sea waves, refers to the transitory nature of human life against the intransitory nature of nature. Nature is intransitory, but man is short-lived. Okay, so when I say terribly transient feet, here terribly transient, t sound has been repeated, terribly t, transient t, t for transient, t for terribly. So here is another example of alliteration. Then when I say feet, here feet actually refers to mother and cousins. So three girls, their feet, and overall feet refers to the human life here. So it's not only the feet which are short-lived, it is actually the human life which is short. So here feet stand for human life. When a part stands for whole, we call it synecdoche. Okay, here the poetic device used is synecdoche, where a part refers to the whole. Here when the poet was saying that the sea waves washed the short-lived human life, sea waves washed the short-lived feet would be wrong. It would be better if we say short-lived man who is short-lived. Man's life is transitory. So feet refers to human being or human life. So what is short-lived? Human life. So the poetic device used in terribly transient feet is number one. Terribly transient, it is alliteration. But when I say transient feet, it is synecdoche. And one more poetic device is in the same line. When we say transient feet, transient is a epithet. It's an adjective. And here this adjective refers to the human life. But here human life has been denoted through the word feet. So when the epithet refers to the major subject other than the one which is implicitly clear over here. We call it transferred epithet. So here, three poetic device in three words. One is alliteration when we say terribly transient. When I say feet, it is synecdoche because feet refers to human life here. And third, it is transferred epithet when I say transient feet. Feet cannot be transitory. It is a human life which is transitory. So here, transferred epithet is also there. So some 20, 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. So after 20 or 30 years later, mother would look at the photograph and she would laugh. She would have a laughter. She would mock at the photograph by because she would find her photograph a bit funny. She would even comment like, see how they dressed us for the beach. So maybe she was finding the dress she was putting on a bit funny or awkward. So at that time, when the photograph was clicked, they were very happy. They even posed for the photograph, and they were enjoying to the most. But after 20 or 30 years, the same photograph would make her have the feeling that they were dressed up funnily at that time. So it's not that she was getting embarrassed, but yes, she got amused at the way they were dressed up then. Okay. And secondly, she would see like how she would see that that how beautiful she looked in the past, but then the way she might have been looking at that time at the age of 32 or 42, that might have made her a bit upset also, right? So after 30 or 40 years later, when she would look at the photograph, she would, number one, laugh at the photograph because she would get amused the way they were dressed up for the beach. Okay, she would get nostalgic about the way they enjoyed the sea holiday. Okay, she would miss the time when she was so happy, when she was so young, when she was so beautiful. Okay, she would miss those happy moments. So children, when we miss the happy moments, what is our reaction then? Whenever we miss our past, beautiful past, then when we miss the past, then at one time on hand, we laugh on remembering the happy past. But at the same time, we become sad because that happy moment is not there now. Okay, we are not able to live the same happy moment again in present. So sadness lurks side by side. So this is ironic that the same photograph, which is meant to make us rejuvenate, it makes us become sad. It is ironic, but that's the reality of life. Past cannot be relived. But yes, you can remember your past, but you cannot relive the past. Okay, the happy moments of your past can make you happy for the moment, but the moment you come to the present, you start realizing the reality, harsh reality, that now that moment is not there. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. So the poet says that the sea holiday was her past and mine is her laughter. So there are two things now. The poet's mother missed her happy past when she went to the sea holiday for paddling. That was her past. And for the poet, her past was when her mother would look at the photograph and would laugh. Both rhyme with the labeled ease of loss. Both refers to the poet's mother as well as poet. So both poet's mother as well as poet, they have become disappointed. Children, what's the meaning of rye? Rye means becoming something which disappoints you. Rye means disappointed. Something which has lost its original color or original sheen or original flavor. Something which is disappointing. Something which has become disappointing. Okay, both poet's mother as well as poet, they have become disappointed with the labored ease of loss. Labored means something with which you struggle. Labored is something which makes you struggle, something with which you work hard. Ease is something which you accept, something which puts you at ease, something which makes you comfortable. Loss means when you have lost something. So what's the loss of the poet's mother? Poet's mother's loss is her sea holiday, right? And what's the loss of poet? Poet's loss is her mother's laughter, because mother is no more. So both poet's mother and poet, they have become disappointed because of the loss, because of the respective losses they had. I'm repeating, this is the most important and difficult line. Both poet's mother as well as her, uh, both the poet's mother as well as poet have become disappointed because they really had to work very hard to overcome or to forget the loss. But yes, with passage of time, they started accepting the reality. So they have come to, they have accepted the reality, and they have started moving on. Ease, they have accepted the reality. Labored, they worked very hard. They had to struggle to accept the reality. They struggled a lot. So here, children, I would like to explain this thing. If somebody undergoes a loss, when supposing some you, let me not talk about something very unpleasant. Supposing somebody loses a very favorite thing. Supposing you are very fond of your mobile, your cell, your iPhone. Okay, it's very fond, you are very fond of it, but by chance you lose it. Okay, you lose it somewhere in the market or on the road, and despite your best efforts, you are not able to get it back. What happens? You start crying, you become so upset, and you really work hard. You really have to try your level best to forget it, but you are not. But yes, after months or after a year or after many days, you are able to forget that, and you buy a new iPhone and you move on. Okay, so it's not that you were able to forget your iPhone the same day or the same month or maybe the same year. Maybe you took some time to forget the loss, and you took some time to overcome it, but eventually you accepted the reality, and then that loss was not that painful as it was when it was a newly acquired loss. So that is labored ease. When you work hard, when you labor to forget the past, when you labor to forget the loss, but eventually you accept it. So whenever somebody loses some near and dear one, then that loss happens to be irreparable, and one feels that one cannot live without that person. But with passage of time, one learns to move on. One gets to the normal routine. So that acceptance comes up. So here it is, this labored ease of loss. Labored is when you have to work hard to cope up with some loss. Ease means when you accept it. So both poet's mother and the poet herself, they had to, they got disappointed with the loss first, and eventually they had to work very hard to accept the reality in the end. So here labored and ease are two opposite words. If something is there with which you have to labor, it cannot be easy. If something is easy, you don't have to labor with it. But here, labored ease has been used to convey an idea that yes, in the beginning, we really have to work hard to forget the loss, to come to terms with the loss. But eventually, when we learn to move on, when we have accepted the loss, when we accept the harsh reality, then that loss becomes insignificant. So here in these lines, labored ease, these two words have been put together, opposite words have been put together in a very juxtaposed, in a very, very justified manner. So here the poetic device used is oxymoron, Oxymoron. Oxymoron is a poetic device. You can note down Oxymoron. Oxymoron is a poetic device which is used to convey two opposite words together, in which two opposite words are used together to convey a particular idea, right? So here both rhyme with the labored ease of loss. Both refers to poet's mother as well as poet. So they have both got disappointed because of the loss, because of the respective losses they had to undergo in their lives. But yes, in the beginning, they really had to work very hard to come to terms with the loss, but eventually they accepted the loss and they were able to move on. When you move on, then your life becomes easy. So this was a very important line. So you can see the clipping. You can listen to this clipping again in the video later on. Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. Now third stanza. Now she has been dead. She refers to the mother. Now that girl who was there in the first stanza, 12 years old. In the first stanza, she was 12 years old. The same girl, that woman, that person has died about 12 years old. In the second stanza, that girl was about 32 or 42 years old. But now she is no more. She has been dead for the last 12 years. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. And of this circumstance, which circumstance? The circumstance refers to the death of mother. So she died about 12 years ago. And about this incident, the poet says that I have nothing to say. So she says that my mother died about 12 years ago. And there is nothing I have to say about her death because her death has made me speechless. You can say something in hundreds and thousands and millions of words when you are to talk about some happy moment. But when it is such an unpleasant moment of one's life, then one finds oneself short of words. So the poetess was left speechless at the loss or at the death of a mother. Its silence silences. So the silence of the death. Its silence refers to the death of mother. So the death of the mother has silenced everything. So the death of the mother has made me speechless. So there is nothing I can speak now. So there is nothing I have to tell anyone, anything to anyone. So its silence refers to the death of mother. So here its silence, death of mother is itself, silent activity. When somebody dies, one becomes silent. Then how can somebody's death silence somebody? So here, number one, silence silences. Number one, here the poetic devices, again you can say alliteration. So sound has been repeated. And secondly, here the poetic device used over here is personification. Death silences. How can death silence you? Death is already something which is silent. Death makes somebody silent. So the poet says that the death of the mother has created a void. The death of the mother has created that emptiness in her heart that she finds it difficult to utter or express her pain or her sorrow in words. She finds herself speechless. She doesn't have the words to express her sorrow because death it's so uh, deadly. Death itself is so such a state which has left her speechless. So the photograph brings to fore the memories which in the end has made the poet become extremely sad. So the photograph started with happy memory of mother at the sea holiday, but it ended with the poet's grief at her mother's death. So in the very beginning, you must be remembering I asked you people like what is a photograph symbolic of, and you people told me like photograph is symbolic of happy memories bundled up together, right? But some and those happy memories. So my point is that life is human life is transitory. So it's very short. Make the most of the life at the present. So we should never leave a chance which should not, and that chance or that time should not make us repent later on. So each moment of life should be well celebrated so that later on we don't crib, we don't complain about anything which might make us unhappy later on. But yes, the time which we have right now, that is the best time with us. So enjoy it to the most and value the people who are with us or those who are around us, because the things, they can still be procured. The cardboard is still there, the photograph is still there, okay, but the mother is not there. So the people who actually are valuable to us, we should value them. So let's attach value to the people, not to the things, because the things can still be recovered, but human beings cannot be recovered. So life is important, life is precious, but it is short lived. That's why maybe it is precious. Okay, so that's it.